hope you're doing well. We're joined again by Dharmesh. Dharmesh, last summer you got the Kurt Zouma stuff pretty good, and you've already started quite well with West Ham this summer in Figueroa, haven't you? You've been hot on that deal from the first minute to the last, so no pressure. We're expecting big things. We've still got a long way to go in this transfer window. We're expecting big things from you. But how are you doing?
I'm good. I might just quit now because it's a 100% record with West Ham so far. So if I don't put anything else out, can't get anything wrong, can I?
No, if you don't tell us Mbappe's side, then we're going to be very disappointed.
Yeah.
Anyway, the man with the golden touch. We're here to get the latest. What would you call it, Dharmesh? What are we here to get from you? Is it the news, the rumours, verified rumours? What would you describe it as?
Rumours? How dare you? Everything is copper bottomed when I tell you. Yeah, no, it's a bit of everything, I think. Bit of everything.
Verified rumours. We'll call it verified rumours, shall we? Rumours with a little bit of substance to it. Yeah. Anyway, Gonzo, kick us off, please.
Maybe this one is less rumour than others because there's a bit of substance behind this, a little bit of history. Should be a tap into an open net, this one, as far as West Ham are concerned. That's Areola. Any news on Areola for us?
Yeah, this one's been going on for a little while, actually. So we all know that he joined last summer from PSG, loan with an option to buy at £11 million. So that option price has been there. And he was effectively your cup goalkeeper, wasn't he, last season? Played 11 of the 12 Europa League games, played 3 of the EFL Cup games, the 3 FA Cup games. But I think he'll be rejoining this time on a permanent deal, ready to fight Lucas Fabianski to be the outright number one for the Premier League as well. So the situation with it at the moment is that there's a willingness from all parties, and it looks like a confidence from all parties that this one is going to get done. It's just finalizing those personal terms. And people might ask, why is it taking so long, given that there is just an option price, and that should be the most difficult bit? Well, in this situation, it's actually the other way around, because normally the personal terms are the ones that are the more straightforward, rather than the fee between a club. But the clubs have agreed this fee, a year ago. So we all knew what the option price was. The difference this time is Alphonse Areola is coming from PSG, and PSG will be paying a lot of money for Alphonse Areola. Hence why, when he did join, West Ham didn't pay his full wages. PSG were paying a portion of those wages as well. So I think there'll be a few discussions about what kind of fee and personal terms Areola will be due. That's why there's a little bit of a delay on the completion of this one. But the information that I'm getting is that this will get done, and potentially next week, because he wants to come, PSG want to sell, West Ham want to buy. There was a little bit of a worry, wasn't there, in the last couple of weeks when the rumour that Newcastle United had late interest. And I think I've lost count the number of times where I've read late interest from Newcastle. Now I'm starting to suspect that agents might be using Newcastle United because they know they're cash rich. And if they bring their name into it, is that a way of accelerating the club that he's supposed to go to into doing a deal and to giving him the personal terms that he wants? So that's just me talking out loud there. But I think Newcastle United are well aware of the fact that they've been linked with every single player under the sun. And I think what has helped, though, to dispel those rumours is that Nick Pope now has joined Newcastle United. So whether there was a worry or not, realistically, I'm not sure. But it looks like it does look like a good road now for West Ham United to get Areola over the line.
Just quickly, can we get clarity over the fee, Dharmesh? Because for about 11 months out of the last 12, it's 11 million. Then for some reason, this 7.7 million came out of nowhere, that was the fee. Then it's sort of reverted back to 11 million in the last couple of weeks. Do you know what the fee is?
Look, I can only tell you the information that I've been given, and the information I'm given is that it is £11 million. So whether it's £7.7 million that some people are reporting maybe is an initial fee, and then there's add-ons that get up to £11 million. As far as I'm aware, the deal's worth £11 million. So, look, I could be wrong, but I can only give you the information that I've been given. And that figure is more or less what I've been saying from the time that he signed for West Ham last summer to the moment that they'll trigger that clause once those terms are agreed.
That's one way of telling all the other in the nose they're wrong, isn't it, Gonzo? I've been saying 11. I've been consistent with 11 million.
Quite right.
I like it.
Yeah, it could be wrong. I don't know, but that's what I've been told anyway.
Can we move on to the striker then, Armando Broja? Tell us about him. What are we expecting? Because earlier on in the week, it was expected that bid was going to go in. Has a bid gone in? What's the situation between West Ham, Chelsea, and Broja at the minute?
Yeah, there's a colleague of mine who's working on this one, and he's still trying to find out whether a deal has actually gone in. A bid has actually gone in for Broja. They're starting to. There's a few reports coming out now that Thomas Tuchel actually wants to have a look at Broja in pre-season. So this could be one that West Ham, no doubt about it, they're interested. They do want to buy him. Look, there was an interest in January as well, wasn't there? So it's not like they've just thought, oh, let's try and get Broja. They've had a long-standing interest in this player. So I think this one may be a slow burner if those reports are to be believed and that Thomas Tuchel does want to have a look at him. And if you think about it, it might make sense because if they're willing to let someone like Romelu Lukaku go, and look, they spent £97.5 million on him and are getting something like a €10 million loan fee from Inter as far as Lukaku is concerned. So I'm just wondering whether Chelsea are just going to have a look at everything that they've got on their books and just to see if Broja could play a role for them next season. That's not to say it's going to, dilute the West Ham interest because that is definitely still there. They do want to bring him in. Whether a bid has gone in or not, I would detect a little bit of West Ham waiting to see what Chelsea are going to do with him before they actually, play all of their cards. Because if Chelsea suddenly say, look, we want to have a look at him at pre-season, West Ham will have other targets. Make no mistake about it. They can't just be thinking, right, we've got one target in the centre forward position. And if that doesn't work out and we're getting to August the 31st and they're thinking we need a striker, then all manner of things can come into play then, like clubs noting a desperation from West Ham United and trying to bring someone in and raising their price. So I think West Ham are quite relaxed about the situation. They are in the market for a centre forward and they are in the market for Broja.
Well, we may well have to just prize Timo Werner off their hands if they're not going to play ball with Broja. Two other players, actually, Dharmesh, who may well be contenders for certainly attacking positions, if not centre forwards. And heard anything about Ismaila Sarr and Emmanuel Dennis at Watford?
Right. These two are players that I think Watford will do business with. I mean, they won't publicly say it, but I think going down to the Championship, Dennis and Sarr probably two of their highest earners. What I have heard with Sarr is that Newcastle United are kind of looking at him in case the Moussa Diaby deal doesn't happen. I think Bayer Leverkusen's winger is their first choice in that position, but they are, as other clubs will have, they'll have a list of targets of certain players and Sarr will be on that list. West Ham United, I mean, information I've got, I've not heard anything yet with either of those two players. Dennis, though, I've heard there are a couple of Premier League clubs who are interested. There was a rumour linking him with Everton, but then it's a game of dominoes at this stage as well, because you hear about whether Richarlison or Dominic Calvert-Lewin are going to stay or leave Goodison Park. And then you have to say, well, if they do, then is Emmanuel Dennis a player that they'd look at to bring in? So many things have to fall into place before that kind of thing happens. With regard to West Ham United and Dennis, I mean, he would probably fit the profile, wouldn't he, of the kind of player that West Ham United are looking for. Broja, though, is the one that the information that I'm getting is the one that's live at the minute.
Jesse Lingard, this time next week, he's officially out of contract, has no club. He's currently on holiday making some dancing TikToks. What do you know about him in West Ham?
I'm actually a fan of those TikToks. I'm not on TikTok. But
can you do them? Can you a bit of a dancer yourself?
No. Oh. But the Michael, good try. The Michael Jackson one. There was some solid moves.
The one with the ball at his feet.
Yeah.
I don't mind it. I like it. I like footballers with a bit of personality. Yeah. I'm all for it.
Exactly. We had Peter Crouch on stage with Kasabian at the Isle of Wight Festival. I say let's just do it. Let's just let them enjoy themselves when they're on their break. I say. So with regard to Lingard, it doesn't seem to be the priority position just now with West Ham United. But the unique thing is Jesse Lingard. We all know what he did 2020-21 season, 16 Premier League starts, 9 goals. What a fantastic spell he had with West Ham. And every time you speak to David Moyes in a transfer window and you mention the name Jesse Lingard, he will never, ever deny the interest, ever. He will say, why wouldn't we be interested? He did such an amazing job for us when he was here last time. So if the figures work for West Ham, this is the problem. Everyone is saying he's a free agent. So why can't they just get the deal done? I think the issue here will be personal terms. Because there's no transfer fee, Lingard and his representatives may feel that they can get more money with regard to salary and personal terms. Now, if a West Ham fan turns around and says, well, it's just going to be personal terms, we're saving all this money on transfers, just give Lingard what he wants, he'll do a great job for us. On the flip side of that, you've got to remember that clubs have wage structures as well. So they've got to do something if they want to bring in Lingard that's going to fit into that wage structure. So can you just imagine a situation if he was to come in and he becomes the highest paid player, then, you know, what does that do for the rest of the squad? Does Declan Rice then knock on the door and say, well, if he's on that much money, I want to renegotiate? And then that filters down to the rest of the squad. Look, I'm just throwing that out there. That can happen at a football club. Surely, if you've got someone that comes in that breaks the current wage structure, then naturally every other player is going to be wanting to be paid a lot more than they're on, because they'll believe that West Ham United are open to paying that much money. So I don't think it's as easy as he's on a free transfer, let's just bring him in. There are lots of things that will have to be decided with regard to that. The one thing I would say as well is I'm not sure what last season would have done to Lingard's value with regard to personal terms. I think the summer after he left West Ham, if United had managed to get a deal done then, they would have got a good transfer fee for him, I think, if we're talking about West Ham. And they would have got, West Ham would have been able to pay good personal terms because they would have come off the back of that great 6-month loan spell. Now, a year has passed since then, and he's barely played for Manchester United. And there's a degree of sympathy for Jesse Lingard for what happened to him last season, because I think he was given assurances that he would be part of that squad and he would get regular first-team football. He had England aspirations, remember, but it didn't materialize for him. And I just wonder what that will have done to the bargaining power when it comes to sitting down with clubs and asking for X amount a week. It'll be an interesting one to see how this one pans out. But no doubt about it, if a deal can be done within the structure at West Ham United, of course, they're going to be interested in Jesse Lingard. Why wouldn't they be?
Yeah, I totally agree. At the end of that loan deal, his stock was high. He was one of the best players in the Premier League. And I mean, when you say it a year, you almost forget. It does sound like an awful long time.
The other thing, just before you carry on as well, the other thing as well was in January, Newcastle felt that they were very close to signing Lingard. But the problem with that one was that United were saying, right, you can have him until the end of the season, but his contract will be up at the end of the season. So we'll treat it as a loan, but you have to pay a loan fee. And I think a lot of that deal got agreed between Manchester United and Newcastle, and there was a confidence that he would go there. But then United said, we want X amount more in a loan fee. Now, people would say, well, United have lost out now. Why didn't they just do that deal and they would have got some money for Jesse Lingard? The only issue with that one was at the time is Newcastle United are now the big players, the new big players in the Premier League. So if Jesse Lingard had gone to Newcastle and helped them stay up, look, they've stayed up anyway without him, but if he'd helped them stay up, Manchester United would effectively have given Jesse Lingard to Newcastle United on loan for a loan fee that Newcastle were happy with, and then they would have kept them in the league. Now, how much would keeping them in the league be worth? So Manchester United were weighing up all of those numbers and then thinking, Newcastle United stay up, they're actually going to be in the same market potentially as us when it comes to going for players, because they can pay the transfer fee, they can pay the personal terms. Look, it's by the by now because Newcastle have stayed up and Jesse Lingard now has got his choice potentially of a number of clubs. But I think, will Newcastle United be back in for him? Let's see. West Ham United will definitely be interested though.
We're hearing now. We've obviously got one transfer wrapped up. We're thinking possibly Areola, as discussed at the start of this video. The rumour is 5 more players for West Ham. I know you've sort of tried to clarify this very, very recently. What are you hearing on that one, please?
I've heard David Moyes, wants a minimum of 6 new players in this transfer window. It wasn't specified to me whether that was 6 after Aguerd joined or whether it was 6 including Aguerd. I have a feeling that it might even be more than 6, simply because if you look at the back end of last season, the first team squad compared to last season is missing 4 players. Mark Noble, Andrei Yarmolenko, Ryan Fredericks and David Martin have all left the club. There are a couple of loans, I think, that have gone back. So you're looking at 6 players without even thinking about how you're going to strengthen the squad with quality. You're just looking at numbers. So I think David Moyes, it's 2-pronged. He wants the numbers, but he wants the quality as well. So a minimum of 6 would look after the numbers. Remember, for the second season in a row, West Ham United are fighting on 4 fronts. And people will say, well, it's the Europa Conference League. Maybe he might rest players in that one. I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether he will. That is an avenue to get into the Europa League for the following season. So, there's 4 different ways that they can qualify for European competition for the 2023-2024 season. So I think he'll be taking all of those seriously. But to do that, he's going to need numbers in his squad and he's going to need quality in his squad as well. So I think you're right. It's the same number that I've been hearing as well. It's a minimum of 6 is what he wants to bring in to that West Ham squad for next season.
Dharmesh, have you got clarity over the positions as well? So you've got the quantity, but do you know where David Moyes is perhaps looking to strengthen?
Yeah, I've just been speaking to someone just before we did this podcast, actually. And what I'm hearing is minimum of 6, but priority positions, centre forward, as we've been mentioning, a left-sided player. Now, I tried to nail that down into, is it a left back? Is it a left wing back? Is it a left of a front 3? All I was told was left-sided player and also a central midfield player. Now, I know what the next question is going to be when you talk about central midfield. It's been going on now for the past few weeks, the rumour mill with regard to James Ward-Prowse. Look, I can confirm that there definitely is an interest in James Ward-Prowse. The big issue here, and I'm sure you can guess what the issue is going to be the price. Now, less than a year ago, he's just signed a 5-year contract at Southampton. How much is he going to cost? England international. English players usually come with a premium on their transfer fee as well. And the information that I'm getting at the moment is what West Ham United would be prepared to pay for James Ward-Prowse and what Southampton would want if they considered selling James Ward-Prowse. He's their captain as well, remember. There's quite a big gap between those 2 valuations. Not to say that it can't be bridged, but this is one I think that even though West Ham are interested, they will have other players on a list because potentially this could be a difficult one to do because you're dealing with a Premier League club, because you're dealing with a player who's under contract for another 4 or 5 years, and because of the fact that he is English and the premium on the price that would entail. So I think a bit like the Broja deal, slow burner potentially. It would also depend on what Southampton want to do. If they even considered selling James Ward-Prowse, you'd expect them to try and get a replacement in before. That will bring with it delays in time as well. So possibly one to watch, but interest definitely there.
You spoke about Newcastle earlier, but you should have good sort of Newcastle in the know sources here because you've got one half of my favourite morning duo on Sky Sports News is Pete. I like Pete. My dream team is Pete and Bella. That's my dream. That's my when I turn on this. Sky Sports News in the morning is them two. I think Get In. Here we go.
Yeah.
That's my favourite too. So you should have good sources when it comes to Newcastle. So you spoke earlier about there being a little bit of suspicion when there was the Areola deal that was sort of maybe agent talk to try and scare West Ham or push Newcastle into signing Nick Pope or push Burnley into selling Nick Pope, whatever. Is it difficult to differentiate what's real and what's not when it comes to Newcastle more than any other club at the minute? Because there was talk of a late hijack from Aguerd, and when that was going on, you were saying, well, what are you worrying about, West Ham fans? He's just arrived in London, he's medicals tomorrow. You were almost like the calm among the chaos, if you like. But then we've got today, Newcastle linked to Broja again. So it's going to be like a forever theme this summer when West Ham are after someone, Newcastle is. I guess what I'm trying to badly say is it easy for your job to work out what's true and what's not quite true when it comes to Newcastle and player targets? And should West Ham fans be worried, or should we generally dismiss Newcastle's rumoured interest in targets?
Trust me, Gio, when I heard about Newcastle's interest in Aguerd after all the tweets that I put out, I was like, oh no. Like finding a few people. What's going on?
Delete.
Stay strong. No, listen, I think it's case by case. I actually do think there was an interest in Areola from Newcastle. That one has kind of been backed up with a few other people who would know a lot more than me. And I mentioned X, who I know a lot of West Ham fans follow and trust. He was getting the information that Newcastle were definitely in for Areola or definitely looking at him. And that was the information that I was getting from sources around the deal. But it was more West Ham, they had Areola. They had that deal in place. Whereas I think Newcastle were looking at a number of goalkeepers because they were in the market for one. And he was maybe one who was on that list alongside Pope, alongside a couple of others. But the Pope one obviously was a lot further down the line than we thought, because it's just got completed like yesterday, even before Areola to West Ham has been completed. But look, when I speak to Pete and Keith Downey, they both got amazing contacts at Newcastle United. I only get involved with Newcastle United deals if I'm hearing about a potential deal that involves Newcastle United, whereas they are quite intrinsically linked with that football club and they can tell you what's going in and out of that football club. Whereas I kind of just add my 2 bobs worth in if I've got somebody who is a contact of mine who's doing a deal that Newcastle are involved in. So what I have heard is what I was saying before. I think Newcastle United, from what I've heard, they kind of had a January transfer window, which was a real eye-opener for them. And it was split into 2 halves. I think the first half was effectively their first experience in a transfer window. And they went into it, maybe, I don't want to say naively, but maybe not expecting what was about to happen, because I think they were getting bombarded, absolutely bombarded by agents. Oh, look, this player is available. You can get him for this much. But then what did surprise them was they were getting 3 or 4 calls from different agents about the same player. Yes, I'm involved with this deal with this club. So I think they took a step back. I think they signed Trippier, I think, early on in that window, which was quite a straightforward one to do. And then in the back half of the window, I think they took a step back and said, let's just calm down here and let's just separate what is fiction and what we actually want to do. So I think they learned a valuable lesson in that January transfer window, which they've taken in the ensuing months and into this summer's transfer window, whereby they will say Newcastle United are not a club that's going to be taken for a ride. Just because the perception is they've got loads of money and are willing to pay hundreds of £1,000s a week for a player, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's what they're going to do. They will not be held to ransom. They will do a deal that suits them. So the mantra, I think, is, yes, they are interested in a lot of players. And an example is the Hugo Ekitike deal, the Reims striker. That was as good as done in January between the clubs. But it was Ekitike and his camp who said, let's just take a step back. Let's assess our options, because there might be more options come the summer. Now, Newcastle United, again, close to signing Ekitike in this transfer window, but there are still ongoing negotiations and difficult negotiations with the players' representatives. And the information we're getting is that Newcastle are prepared to walk away from that deal if progress is not made in the way that they want. And now we're hearing of interest from PSG as well. They don't want to get involved in bidding wars. They don't want to get involved in any kind of competition with regard to personal terms. If someone else is willing to pay more, then they'll think, oh, we're going to need to raise our offer. They have their numbers in mind and they have their targets in mind. And if they don't get one of their targets, they've got a list and they'll move on to another. But I think that's common to all football clubs. I think it's just been accentuated more simply because Newcastle are the new kid on the block, aren't they? With all of this money, and a lot of people are talking about them. And maybe agents, on some occasions, I'm not saying on all occasions, because I think the Areola one, there was substance to it. But on some occasions, maybe think if we throw Newcastle United into the mix, maybe then we can get a hurry on with the club that's doing this deal.
I'm thinking of maybe using this tactic. I've got my kid's old trampoline, which I don't use anymore, on eBay. So I think I might amend the listing and say, by the way, Newcastle are interested in this trampoline, just to raise the auction price a little bit. I
think that's a fantastic idea. Just be careful that if it's paid by with a check, that for that trampoline it doesn't bounce.
Thank you very much.
That's free. That's free.
Wasted on Sky Sports.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. You don't get that really, do you? Normally,
you shouldn't.
What I would say is just on this, just before we go, Dharmesh. One thing that I worry about with West Ham is that, and well, not just me, it's a concern that's shared with a lot of other people, is that maybe whilst we're waiting for Broja, maybe you say it's a slow burner, whilst we're waiting for James Ward-Prowse, that actually we may well lose out on other targets. There is a perception, certainly amongst West Ham fans at least, that we're quite slow at getting the deals done. Do you, through your contacts, get the impression that there is a little bit more urgency and a real desire to get some of these deals done, and that there's backup options?
Both, yes. I think they want to get deals done. They've got targets. Broja is the one that, people are getting information about. There may be 2 or 3 other players that they're looking at in that same position, which might not be in the public domain. That's for myself and other people to find out about, of course. And so, yes, Broja is a live one and they want to sign him. But West Ham, look, it feels different now in the last couple of seasons since David Moyes has returned to the club, because I think we've discussed this before on this very podcast. I think he's much more comfortable about the control he's getting at the football club. It's almost similar to the control he's getting that when he enjoyed such a successful spell at Everton. In the interim period between Everton and his second spell at West Ham, I don't think he was getting that control. And it's no coincidence that when he has got that control, he's had his best successes both at Everton and at West Ham United. I've got no doubts West Ham United now, they're dealing in a market where they can offer European football to players now. And so they're in a market where they won't just be going in for one player. And if that player doesn't work out, they're thinking, well, we've got nothing else. They'll be working on a number of deals. I've got no doubt about it. They would have sent feelers out and said, this is the profile of the striker we're looking for. Broja fits that profile. But who's to say 2 or 3 other contacts of theirs won't have come back to them and said, well, this guy fits the profile as well. You might want to have a look at him as well. I think West Ham will be too savvy to just be looking at James Ward-Prowse as the one and only target in central midfield and Armando Broja as the one and only target in the centre forward position. I just can't see that being an issue for West Ham. They will have other targets if these ones don't work, because I'm sure they will have gone in with the James Ward-Prowse situation, knowing, and the Broja one to a certain extent, you're dealing with English clubs. It's always going to be more difficult. So with that in mind, there will always be other targets that they'll have. And I'm not saying that they'll be second, third, fourth choice. They'll just be another option, because it'll be unfair to say that if West Ham don't bring in Broja and they bring in someone else, oh, he was the second option. We might not know that. We might not know that that was the second option. They might be thinking, right, I want one of these two players, Broja or player Y.
Yeah.
We might not know who player Y is just yet.
I've got two things to ask, going by what you've said so far. This is obviously the first window we've been active in since Rob Newman's come to West Ham United. Obviously, he was there in January, but we didn't sign anyone. From what you can understand, of what you can pick up, or even just sense as a gut feeling, has David Sullivan stepped away from the negotiations at West Ham and left Newman and Moyes completely in control?
You know what? I'll be honest with you. I don't have that information. I don't want to bluster and say, yeah, I know this, that, and the other. I can only tell you what I know. That's not information that I'm privy to. Apologies. But what I do know is that David Moyes, since he's come back to the club, has got a lot more say and a lot more control about incomings and outgoings. And you can tell, particularly in the last couple of seasons, that the signings that they've made, you know, people always say, oh, that's a David Moyes signing, isn't it? So I think that the proof is there when you see the signings that they make. So with regard to has he taken a back seat, I'm not privy to that information at all. But Rob Newman, look, he's been brought in, and I think he wants to be busy. I mean, look, he and David Moyes are working together, and look, minimum of 6 players. If on September the 1st, we're talking again and they've signed a minimum of 6 players, they've done what they've set out to do.
And secondly, when you were talking about potentially buying Jesse Lingard and breaking the wage structure and a certain player getting upset, well, that happened a year ago with Thomas Souček when we signed Kurt Zouma. Any sort of word on what's happening with Thomas Souček? Because earlier on this summer, it was believed that he was one of the players that Moyes was open to selling, and it's sort of cropped up in the last few days in the news that he's still someone that Moyes is still willing to sell. And obviously, the rumours to the likes of James Ward-Prowse, or, you know, you've had it clarified to you earlier that we're after a centre midfielder, and if you're talking of substantial funds, is Souček on his way out?
The only information that I've got on that was something I got about a month ago when these reports were coming out, and it was relayed to me that there was no falling out between Moyes and Souček, and that he's part of the plans going forward for West Ham United, and he's under contract. Look, if they bring in somebody like James Ward-Prowse, can they play all three? Can they play all three in Ward-Prowse, Souček, and Declan Rice? That's going to be up to the manager. Or will they decide, actually, we need to release one of them? Obviously not Rice. He doesn't want to let go of him. But we'll talk about Souček. We're not going to go on the Rice topic at all.
No, it's too touchy for us. It's too touchy for us. Well, what about Ben Rama then? Because a month ago, then the Souček stuff came out. So did the stuff about Ben Rama and Vlasic. And I think there's a feeling of Vlasic will go somewhere, perhaps on loan to Torino. But what about Ben Rama? Because the rumours were that Moyes is open to selling him. Yeah, it's just sort of gone quiet since then, and nothing's really happened. There's not even any rumours anymore.
No, I've not heard anything more on Ben Rama. What I would say probably about both of them is they both came in for quite big money, especially Vlasic. We're talking, you know, a deal worth around 30 million all in. And what I am told is that Torino are interested, but they're also very aware of how difficult a deal that is to do, simply because they want him on loan, but he's on high wages as well as Vlasic, and whether West Ham United would want to almost admit defeat on a deal that they made a year ago, or whether Moyes still sees him as part of his plans for the forthcoming season. Because you've got to remember, you know, he hadn't had much experience, even though he was at Everton for a little while, of the Premier League. And is it a case of players feeling their way into a new league, and in the second season, do they come and show what their true worth is? That'll be up to David Moyes. There is interest in him, of course, from Torino. We know that. Whether that deal can happen, it'll be a difficult one to do. But are they open to the likes of Ben Rama and Vlasic leaving? In the past couple of weeks, as you say, I'm hearing what you're hearing on those two, and that is it's gone a little bit quiet. It will be interesting just to see what kind of business West Ham can do, and if David Moyes has got a squad he's happy with, what he will do with the players that maybe won't be getting regular first team football. Yeah. But then one other thing I would say, and is the 5 substitutes rule has come in. I just wonder whether that has changed the dynamic at football clubs as well. Because as of next season, you can make 5 changes in a game. So if you're in a 20-man squad, 11 are starting, you've got 9 subs before you're looking at a 1/3 chance of getting on. 3 of the 9 are going to get on. Now, 5 possibly of the 9 can make an appearance. And if you think about 70 minutes gone in a game and West Ham are at the London Stadium, they're cruising to a 4-0 victory over Liverpool with 20 minutes to go.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
You can make 5 changes and players are getting game time in that way. And, you know, people will say, well, they're still not going to get in the team. But if you're that player in those 20 minutes, what you could do in those 20 minutes and then give the manager a decision to make for the next game if you perform well in the opportunities that you're given. Because I think the opportunities will be more given that there are 5 subs. Hence why I think clubs are trying to do a lot of business in this transfer window, not only to improve the quality of their squads, but to boost the numbers as well.
Gonzo, got anything you'd like to ask, Rad?
No, mate, thanks so much for joining us. I've got an eBay listing to amend, quite frankly, so I can't hang about here for too long. But no, but listen, seriously, we really appreciate you coming on and clarifying a lot of this, the murky waters of the transfer window. So thank you very much, Dharmesh.
Just very quick. How much are you selling the trampoline for?
Well, it was going to be 30 quid, but Newcastle are rumoured to be interested. So I'm going to look for 70, to be honest with you.
Fair price.
Yeah.
Fair
Dharmesh, thank you very much. It's almost like becoming a little series now. This is your 4th appearance on Hamish Chat, and I thoroughly look forward to it, and I thoroughly enjoy recording it as well. And the last 3 times you've come on, it's gone really well with our subscribers. Loads of positive comments. I'm really looking forward to reading the comments of the people watching this right now as well. But thank you, Dharmesh. Pleasure as always. And for you guys at home, if you enjoyed the video, drop a like on it, subscribe to the channel. Myself and Gonzo, we'll catch you in a bit.